What's up guys, BltzZ here today bringing you another video. In today's video I want to have a little discussion about something I think needs to be changed for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. As a matter of fact, I personally think this is a particular thing that should be changed and never appear in all RPG games. And that is chapters. Chapters have appeared in recent Final Fantasy games, and in my opinion, they take you out of the experience or immersion of the story, which reminds me of when they started adding mission ranks at the end of each Metal Gear Solid mission, which I'd rather not talk about. But in all honesty, this to me should not exist in RPGs. It makes the experience feel like a checklist, and the higher number of chapters that you eventually reach, you can't help but feel a bit nervous as you get closer to the end of the experience. For me, RPGs, being role-playing games, are supposed to immerse yourself within the world, the characters, and get lost inside of it. The best part of RPGs, in my opinion, are the open world aspects of non-linearity. Now granted, Remake Part 1 takes place in Midgar, where in the original game was a very linear experience. The first 6 to 7 hours of the original game, you're going through Midgar, the story unfolds to make you realize that the bad guys you were fighting in the whole time are not actually the main bad guys. Basically, Shinra was at the bottom to middle of the totem pole compared to Sephiroth, which blew my mind as an 8-year-old child. Midgar felt gigantic because of its metropolis setting and how much time you actually spend in there. And once you get to leave the city and you are thrown into the open world, and you hear that Final Fantasy VII main theme song on the world map, you can just see how tiny the entire space of Midgar actually was the whole time. In Remake Part 2, we will be continuing exactly at that point of leaving Midgar and finally being in the open world. I do hope they don't have plans to include chapters in Remake Part 2, but it's very possible that chapters were mainly put into the game for a number of reasons. One of them is to help manage load times between the levels. In our recent FF7 Remake news videos, the directors confirmed that they had to find unique ways to disguise the game's loading segments. Aside from the moments of crawling underneath debris or Cloud being forced to walk very slowly, there are actual loading screens in between chapters. The game does a good job at minimizing how much loading screens actually appear before you, and really only happens in between chapters or when you're entering new areas such as the Coliseum or a VR mission. So now hearing that, it may be safe to say that Remake Part 2 may not have chapters, since we are going to be in an open world environment. However, if we remember, Final Fantasy 15 did have chapters, and it was also open world. At least the good first half of that game. When I was playing through 15, I felt like the chapters really made the game not feel like an RPG. This could have been done purposely for the performance reasons and minimizing load times. Another reason the chapters were implemented into Final Fantasy VII Remake was to help us players use chapter select to return to various points of the game, to complete challenges for trophies, or do the VR and Coliseum missions. Trust me, I totally get that. I mean, the bulk of my channel's popular videos involve me using chapter select to get to certain areas to record footage. Now, it's safe to say that since Remake Part 2 is a solid amount of time away and most likely going to be on the PS5, thanks to that new crazy SSD in the PS5, we could see those loading times drop dramatically. I would also hope that they could look into removing chapters and having the players enjoy a more non-linear experience for Remake Part 2. Maybe in the open world we can meet with Chadley, who then gives us a device to access those VR missions, and now all VR missions are portably accessible through the in-game menu, instead of having to chapter select to a specific chapter and have all of your guide videos showcased within that chapter. Chapter select would also kind of ruin any plans of chocobo breeding as well, unless they decide to have the chocobo farm or stable embedded into the game's menu as well, but that's unknown as of right now. Another thing they could do is also not include the chapters to us during the first playthrough, and then when we beat the game we unlock it, technically like Remake Part 1, to use in our main menu. I just think that chapters really put a timestamp on you mentally where you are in the game. And from then you can just gauge from that point just how much time you have left, which is one of the worst feelings in not just RPGs but in any game that you are enjoying. I guess it's a quality of life thing for developers, so at the very least, I hope they find a way to make the chapters experience feel a little bit more non-linear. But really, I just think that they should do away with it all. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is kind of far away from us at the moment, but I think it could release at the earliest April 2022 or the latest sometime in 2023. Now, you could argue that we technically did have chapters in the original Final Fantasy VII from having to swap discs. I can agree to that. But there were tons of suspense behind that, and the game left off at such important moments that you could not resist starting back up right away. But also, that only occurred 2 times, because there are 3 discs total for the Final Fantasy VII original game. I think that if they did it like Ghost of Tsushima, where there are acts instead of tiny chapters we must complete through piece by piece, that would fit very well and not be a regular occurrence, such as chapters. Say what you want, but I would take 3 acts, just like in Ghost of Tsushima or Final Fantasy VII original, rather than 18 or 25 total chapters. My fingers are crossed that with next-gen capabilities, we just might be able to bypass all of this that I'm nitpicking about in this video. But don't get me wrong, you guys know how much I love Remake. This game in my eyes is perfect, but I can agree to some point there are, of course, some flaws. I'm just super happy to hear that in those previous interviews that the directors did, they're all happy and excited to improve on all aspects of the game from the collected feedback that they've gained from myself and you guys in the comments. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about all that. Do you guys like chapters being included in RPG games, or do you dislike it like I do? Or do you just not even care? Let's just have a discussion going on in the comments. I just want to know what you guys think. And also, be sure to join our membership, guys. We have a giveaway coming up you guys will not want to miss out on. We need 15 more members to join the memberships, then our giveaway can start. There are going to be 2 prizes going to the winner of our giveaway. The first prize is I will buy you any game of your choice as long as it's the standard game edition. And for the second prize, you will also receive our very first channel merch, which is a t-shirt with our new banner design. I will, of course, DM the winner for their size because I want to make sure that you girls and guys are hooked up with the latest and up-to-date swag. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy VII Remake videos are coming your way and you won't want to miss that. My name is BltzZ and thanks for watching.